All right. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hey, Cuban's already sending me money. Look at this. I can't read it though. I gotta blow it up. Hold on a second. Hey, thank you, Cuban. He says, long live Fluffy. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Yeah. It's funny that you would say that, Cuban, because I was gonna start this stream off with the joke that Fluffy's sitting right here in front of me, but he ain't. He's behind me. He don't say much these days. He's awfully quiet. All three of the dogs, they're pretty quiet these days. They don't have a hell of a lot to say. The poor screech owl. I go out there at night and I'm walking around and the screech owl is screeching, and I have to respond to him myself. I have to. The screech owl says this thing, and I go woo 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 woo. So it will definitely be weird this year, especially early on in the season. Normally during the streams, when it's fall, Fluffy would be outside, and y'all would hear him barking up a storm out there. So this is the normally members exclusive live stream from noon on until whenever we finish. It's usually about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, might be an hour. But usually this is exclusive for members and Patreon supporters. But I figured today, what the hell? We'll just make it public, make it a little bit easier for people to come on and say hi. If you want to watch the show live, just become a member or a Patreon supporter. Remember, members, the links to join, to view the live stream, the links are in the community post because I can't make it members exclusive because then the Patreon people would miss out. Hey, Aviator, how you doing, bud? Metal, how you doing, guys? So right off the bat, my that thing I do where if I talk and give somebody praise, something immediately bad happens. Not a big deal, but Mackie Semiskevich is going to miss the first few days. He's got a little bit of an upper body thing. But from the way that Maurice was talking about him, I think it sounds like he anticipates Semiskevich nabbing that spot. There'll be other competition, but I think, like I said yesterday, I think that spot next to Lundell and Luosterainen is Samuskevich's spot to lose. Adonis, Colin, how you doing, guys? Thanks for joining. Let me blow up my chat here a little bit more. StreamYard has a new dark mode, and you would think intuitively you would think it would make the comments easier for me to read, but somehow it made it more difficult for me to read the comments. But the dark, it's a lot easier on my eyes for the rest of the stuff. So I have to blow up your comments to see them. So Colin says, Finn's Nation, let's cry. Yeah. I can't even get into that. So, and another thing that Maurice confirmed, I don't know why they did it, but I know that we've got the doubleheader coming up on Sunday, the two preseason games, the split squad against Nashville. And I kind of thought I remembered them being on Mondays normally. And he said, yeah, normally they're on Monday. This year they're on Sunday. I can only assume that they did that on purpose just to screw with Kyle and I. First game is at 2, the second game is at 6, and the Dolphin game is at 4. So there's that. Hey, Spaceman, how you doing, buddy? Is it Bubba Brewski's birthday today? Happy birthday, Bubba. Happy birthday, Bubba. He looks locked in and ready to go. According to Maurice, and he reiterated, Maurice said this again yesterday, that he said everybody came in better shape than they were in last season at the start. So that's good news. These guys seem really, really hungry. And, we've watched over the last couple of years as the team that wins the cup, they kind of end up with, looking a little bit tired, looking a little bit peaked towards the end of the season. But, it's not like we didn't play the same number of games as Vegas, and we fared just fine yesterday, right? Spaceman, yeah, I did see the news of the arena lease extension. So that's good news. I was never, it's like one of those things where I was never worried about it. Um, it was just one of those things where I could not comprehend like what my life would be or my reaction would be if the team did move. And so I just never considered it a real possibility. you know, I never considered it much of a real possibility. Colin says, I'm not surprised that the first three lines are the same for the most part. Sure. Just there's no changes really to be made except for, the assumption that Sam Skevich will take that one last spot. But the rest of the guys, I mean, we kind of got to the point, last year where it was kind of like, what are the lines? It doesn't really matter, right? It's like you could put Barkov for Hagee, Reinhardt. You could put Barkov, Kachuk for Hagee. You could put any of those guys together, especially the top six. Any combination of the top six is they've all played together, for such a long time now. They all have such, a good feel for each other and the skill level that each of them brings that, we saw it, in the playoffs, a lot of times the shift changes were pretty late and you'd end up with, one guy from the first line, one guy from the second line, a couple guys from over here. It just, if everybody's playing the same system and everybody's playing the same way, a lot of times you won't even notice the names on the jerseys until somebody has the puck in their hand. Let me take a sip of water here real quick. Got a little bit of not a sore throat, but a tired voice. So Adonis says, what do you guys think Bob will do? He says, what do we think Bob will do if we don't extend him, retire or move on? Well, I actually talked about that in yesterday's show a little bit more than a little bit. So I don't want to go on too long because people get sick of hearing the same thing. But he's got this year and next year. My hope is I would love to see him stick around for another couple of years, at maybe $5 million, just for the love of the game, just to be able to, Spencer be the number one guy and maybe Bubba be the backup. But, a lot of that kind of depends, it could be wishful thinking, but he has an opportunity to be like, oh, my contract is up. We just won 3 cups in a row. I think I'll retire. So I don't know. I don't know anything, but I would be shocked beyond words if he did anything other than either extend with us or retire. I don't see him as needing or wanting to go somewhere else. And certainly I would anticipate, if Spencer Knight continues to be the real deal, who knows how long Bubba can stick around if he wants to. He may be perfectly content to leave after the end of his contract. Jackson, Excalibur, thanks for joining us, bud. Let's see. Spaceman says, if we saw the cup in person, would you take a picture and place pictures of Fluffy and Ellie next to it? No, what I have said, I said this on Twitter. What I said was the Panthers need to win it again, and then I simply will not accept anything less other than the cup making it to Fluffy's grave, so the picture can be with the dogs' graves. Over the next couple of weeks, we're taking the 3 graves because they're all laying next to each other, and we're combining it into one giant flower bed and getting one marker for all 3 dogs. So they have to win again, and then somebody from that damn team is bringing me the cup so it can be placed in their graves and they take the pictures. They either bringing it to me or I'm coming to get it, and I'll just take the prison sentence because that's got to happen. I might not be kidding. I mean, if I go to jail for stealing a cup, first of all, I'm the guy that stole the cup and went to jail. That'd probably be good for the channel, right? Okay. And how long are they going to put me in jail anyway? They're going to have the cup back. As long as I don't dent it, I should be good. That actually might be a good way to blow up the channel. I could be the guy that stole the cup so he could take a picture of it with his dead dog. That might do it. That might be what has to do it. If we don't get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this season, I might have to do that. Let's see. Metal says, I'm from the future. You were in prison. Fair enough. Hey, I free rent, free food, free gym. I mean, I don't want to get myself in trouble saying anything more, but Colin wants to know if we've heard anything about the defensive pairings. I did not get a chance to look at Twitter. Um, it's a little bit tough on me to do that because you guys know we're every moment I'm not doing this channel, we'll work in the eBay business because the only way that I'm going to be able to continue to do this is if I can get that eBay business back up to where it was before the pandemic. So things are looking a little bit better in that regard, but what that means is I don't have a ton of time to like go to Twitter and interact and look at everything that's going on because I'm busy. I'm busy listening. Here's a good question. Is that Colby? Yeah. Says, where do you think the Bruins will end up in the standings if they don't re-sign Swayman? I can't imagine. I watched a video from Low Quality Bruins Fan. If you don't follow him, give him a follow. He's a good guy. He does a lot of the skits like I used to do, which I'm trying to bring back this year a little bit. But he did a video about the press conference that Sweeney had, and he talked a little bit about how this is kind of par for the course with the Bruins. They've had other guys hold out in arbitration, but generally speaking, they usually get the job done and get him signed. So I would assume that they're going to get him signed. I don't know that they want to roll with Korpisalo. That situation it's one of those situations where it looks like it could turn into a giant catastrophe, but I don't think it will. I think they'll get him signed. Spaceman says the Lightning are being bulldozed right now. Colby says the Lightning will be that surprise shit team. Maybe. Yeah, Adonis, just don't drop the soap, right? Hi, Michael. Hey, Vlad. Thanks, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, we're almost back. Now, that's a good point that Dylan makes. He says the longer it takes for the Bruins to sign Swayman, the better for us in our home opener. That's true. My memory isn't what it used to be, but if memory serves me correctly, I think we usually do pretty well against Korpisalo. I think he's one of those guys that we usually play pretty well against, but I don't know. That's just what I think I remember. Yeah, Spaceman says, I remember the Blackhawks were a powerhouse. Now they're a development farm. Hey, all these teams, all these franchises, they go through it, and you can think that you have the right combination. And I mean, when you look at how the Panthers ended up being built at this point where we're at now, the combination of things that had to go into, I guess, the last 10 years-ish, right? Well, Vinny and Doug, when did they buy the team? It's been more than 10 years, right? Because this is the 9th year of the channel, so it's been a little bit more than 10 years. But just how we went from with Talon and then the row and then back to Talon, and then if that whole thing with Quenneville doesn't happen, do we win the cup? If that whole thing with Quenneville doesn't happen, do we remove Huberdeau? You see what I'm saying? There's so many pieces that when you look back on that we're like, oh, I don't know about this. This is, we lost our coach basically right at the start of the season, right? So many things had to happen. So the point is, as with a lot of these other franchises, you can think you have it right, and then you don't. And we had the sun shine down on us. Let's be honest, okay? If Tkachuk doesn't become available, we might be sitting here bitching, moaning, groaning, complaining about, I don't think Huberdeau and Barkov together are the guys, right? All right, chat's moving now. Let's see what we got here. Let me narrow this down a little bit. Okay, we're good. Thank you all for joining us. Adonis says, I would love if they don't re-sign him for the opener. Anton Lundell embarrassed Korpisalo quite a few times last year. Half of Lundell's highlights were against him in net. All right, so that might make sense. Vincent says Nashville will stop the Oilers. I would not be so surprised about that. I kind of thought Nashville was, could have been a matchup last year. But if they continue to progress, I can't disagree there. it's tough to get back 2 years in a row. I mean, we did it, but you really have to have a tunnel vision mindset and health. Talked about that yesterday. The difference in the health that we had last year, especially in the playoffs. I mean, what team makes it through all the way to playoffs, basically, with all 6 defensemen and your top 9 intact without really missing much, if any, time. Hey, Select, how you doing, bud? Let me move this chat down. It's not moving on its own. Here we go. Okay. That's weird. There we go. Okay. And like I said, StreamYard has this dark mode. Move to the bottom. Oh, hold on a second. My chat is glitching out here a little bit. Let me get all the way to the bottom. Let me do this and then do that. Okay. Let's try this again now. Oh, I see what happens. When I blow up the screen, this sucks. This is going to be a problem. I might have to get a second laptop and put it here. So you have the chat, and then you have a slider bar that can move the chat up and down. When I blow up the screen, it makes the comments bigger, but the slide bar stays the same. So when I blow up the screen to the size I can see the comments, it stops loading new comments. So I'm missing stuff. So I've got to change that and see how that's going to go. All right, let's see. Yeah, exactly. Michael says, how's team looking this year? Been busy with moving. There are no reasons why we can't win again. It doesn't mean we're going to, but there's no area of the roster where you look at and say that might be a problem that's going to stop us from winning again. And are there some new players? Yes. But isn't this nice? We have just learned to assume that whoever Zito brought in is going to work out, right? I cannot express to you the difference between being a Panthers fan and a Dolphin fan. Because generally speaking, as a Dolphin fan, 70% of the guys that we bring in are either going to get injured or not work out. But with the Panthers, it's just like what Michael is saying. Michael, you didn't miss anything. We got new guys, right? There's a little bit of new blood on the defense and everything. But in terms of what we expect the quality of the team to be, we just trust Zito so much that it doesn't matter who he brings in. It's like, all right, that dude's going to be good, right? Yep, title defense, exactly. Hey, Kenneth. Spaceman says he wasn't a fan of Montour's performance. I hate to say anything bad about anybody that was on the team because we won the cup. I like Montour. I think he was a good piece, but I don't think we're going. I don't mean this as a bad. In a bad way. I don't mean how it sounds, but I don't think we're going to miss him. Like Gudis, we missed. Even though we had Mikula, it was like Gudis, his personality, which, by the way, congratulations. He's the captain now, the Anaheim Ducks. But, easy for me to say I'm not in the locker room, but I just don't feel like we're going to miss Montour. I think we might actually miss OEL more than Montour. But either way, however it works, I feel like we're going to be good. I feel like we're going to be good to go. Vincent says, Hornquist is such a coach. Warmed up with Bob, pushed Ekblad and Montour. Now works with Mackey. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, those are some of the guys that we forget. Those guys that are behind the scenes, right? That their name doesn't come up a whole lot, but then you remember it's like, oh yeah, we got Luongo working with these guys. We got Hornquist working with these guys. I know Maurice has talked about how smart Sam Reinhart is. You never know if he's going to become a coach at some point, right? Spaceman says Spencer and I should play for the Blackhawks. No, I think we're good. Let's see. Let me move the chat back down. It says, hey, Rinketic, how you doing, bud? It has been a while. I don't know if it was a long summer or a short summer. But summer is over, although it warmed up a little bit. It warmed up a little bit here. We're supposed to be cool by the weekend, so that's nice. Yeah, now Michael Korpala's got that's the one name that's going to be weird, is without Lomberg on that fourth line. That's the one name. Not that I'm not going to miss Cousins, but just not having Lomberg out there for opening night with the banner raising and all of that. That's going to be a little bit odd. And yeah, Okposo retired, right? Okposo retired. So congratulations to him. Nice way to go out, right? No complaints there. Rinketic, Rinketic's saying he hopes I feel better. I'm okay. The summer could have been a little shorter. You know what I mean? Now that football is back and hockey is back, it gives me something to do. You know what I mean? It gives me a little bit more something to do, not other than work. This is work, but you know what I mean. You know, it's so I'll be all right. I'll be fine. You know. CV says, what do we think? What do I think about bringing Okposo on as a coach? Hadn't thought about that. I don't know if that's something he wants to do. Certainly, if it is something he wants to do, we know that the Panthers like to take those type of guys and add them to the team, right? Remember, McKenzie was a coach for a while. Sean Thornton is actually still in the organization, but it's not in a coaching, way. It's something else that he does. But yeah, that would be, Maurice was talking about that, I guess, in yesterday's press conference, talking about how he brought a lot of youthful exuberance and excitement. And you saw that on the ice, and that kind of explains, I had talked about how, it seemed like as the playoffs went on, he got more legs and he got a little bit quicker, a little bit better. So yeah, the excitement for him of, kind of knowing this is my last year, while also it's like, okay, each game that goes on and we keep winning, the possibility that you're going to retire as a cup champion kept getting higher. So that's good for him. Spaceman says, yeah, Lomberg will get his ring when he plays for us. Right. That makes sense. I haven't seen what the rings are going to look like either. Rinketic wants to know if losing Nick is an L in terms of Cousins. We got bigger. We got bigger. That was one thing that was very obvious when you looked at the guys as we were bringing them in. And like we've talked about, that's why Lorentz and Okposo played so much there towards the end. So we got a little bit bigger on that fourth line. We got more size. So that's fine. I don't have anything. I'm not one of the people with anything against Nick Cousins, but I didn't want to say this during the Cup finals because I didn't want to put any kind of negativity out there. But the way that Maurice, when he was talking about players that were accepting their role and accepting being on the ice and off the ice and on the ice and off the ice, he would consistently mention Lomberg, Okposo, and Lorentz and not mention Nick Cousins. And I just wonder if Cousins kind of was a little bit more ornery than the rest of them when he was being taken off the ice so late in the season. I do wonder about that. I didn't want to say anything when Maurice was talking about it. But I think it's possible that Cousins kind of, remember, I forget who it was, but remember a couple of the guys made Cousins t-shirts, right? I know that some people interpreted that as they were sticking up for Cousins and what they were saying about him in the media and everything like that. But I do know that I had heard one comment from one of the guys, either Maurice or Cousins, when they were talking about their relationship together, where, I think it was Maurice talking about how Cousins is a fiery guy and sometimes they'll get in each other's space a little bit. So I just kind of wonder if with Cousins, if he kind of wore out his welcome just enough, right? Okay, let me try to catch up on some of the chat here. Yeah, Rinketic says take care of Adam Boquist like we take care of Bob. You got that. Oh, I can't see the names. Is that Civil? Yeah, that's Civil. How you doing, bud? How you doing? I don't know. We'll have to talk to the members because I've been doing the live streams every day this week for the members. Most of you are already members anyway. So we got to sort that out and find out if you guys want me to do the members thing or the public thing. I try to make sure that the people that are paying for the memberships get a benefit, but then it seems like people only able to come to the public. So you guys tell me. It's your channel. And I hope that made sense. Adonis says, Jaws, what do you think about the Flames being an all-in win-now team transforming into a full rebuild since Shuey and Uyghur trade? I mean, man, be careful what you wish for. All I can say about that is you could see it happening when it was happening, right? When the trade happened and I saw what Flames fans were being told from management and the media, they were being told that Huberdeau was going to be like what Tkachuk is to us. And we knew that wasn't going to be the case. But they had to make the best of a bad situation. I think if they would have just signed Uyghur and flipped Huberdeau for assets, I think both franchises could have considered that trade win-ish, but giving Huberdeau that long-term deal without him playing, that was a boo-boo. That was a boo-boo. Metal says, biggest loss with Cousins is in the locker room. They loved his antics, but we have plenty of goofballs. Schmidt seems like a great goof. Yeah, Schmidt definitely seems like the right guy. CB wants to know what my line predictions are. And who's that? I can't read it. Damn it. I'm going to have to get my other laptop over here. That's Jameson saying, yeah, Sam Miskevich is dealing with the upper body. Maurice said he should be back ready to go full speed Monday or Tuesday, full contact, whenever that practice is. In terms of the lines, I mean, if I'm guessing from a hat, opening day, Barkov, Rodriguez, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Tkachuk, Reinhart, and Lundell with Luosterainen and Sam Miskevich. I think that would be what I would figure. You can Erod and Reinhart, they're going to go back and forth all season, right? Every year Reinhart's been here, he just went up and down the lineup. Rodriguez is that same kind of player. So I expect that to continue to happen. In terms of the fourth line, I think Nosek is, you can kind of pencil him in at center there. And then George seems to think Sourdiff might actually compete for a spot on the fourth line. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's right. All I know is I have stuck in my head last year where Maurice was talking about he's not going to play Sam Miskevich or Sourdiff for fourth line minutes. And if Sam Miskevich makes the roster on the third line, I don't think Sourdiff will make it because I don't think he's going to want two rookies on the ice at the same time. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it can't happen. But basically, I would put the fourth line as Nosek and then spin the Rolodex, spin the wheel. There's a lot of competition there for that spot. Let's see. Civil, yeah. Samuel's okay. Civil, no. Maurice said it's a very minor upper body thing. He's still skating, but Maurice basically said, I expect Sam Miskevich to take that spot, even though there's a lot of competition. If you read between the lines of what he said, that's basically what he said. Vincent says, interesting that Schmidt skates with Elvis, so that's our third pair. Okay, all right, I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Other than the top pair, you assume is Ekblad and Forsling. Or I should say Forsling and Ekblad. Let's get that correct. Let's get that in order, right? Past that, the second and third pair, Is that Kulikov with Mikula? Is that where we're going? We're in good shape. We're really in good shape. When you think back to the year that, the first Stanley Cup final year, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. The first one, not this most recent cup trip, but the year before last when we went to the Stanley Cup final. I can't believe as a Panther fan that those words are coming out of my mouth. But if you remember back to that year when we were so tight in the cap and we were moving guys all around and we had to play games short, to where we are now, to where we've basically re-signed as many of the guys as we possibly could, and we've got all this depth. It's just insane what Zito's pulled out. Adonis says Cooley shouldn't be first pair. And Brinketic says, right, Boquist and Mikla. So, I mean, who knows, right? Right? You can't leave any of these guys out. So that's a good point. I mean, I just like, well, obviously we all ended the season high on Dmitry Kulikov, right? I mean, how can you not? The dude saves a goal, starts the rush, pucks in the back of the net. There's the cup. How can you not be high on Dmitry Kulikov? He played a lot of important minutes for us last year. So we're definitely going to be in good shape there. And it's going to be much like it was with the forwards last year, where if anybody gets even a little bit dinged, you just pull them off the ice, right? Let them sit for a couple of games, and you put in Balinskis, or you put in Kulikov, you put in Bokus, you put in whoever's not, whoever 7D is, and you just roll, right? Yeah. That's Sybil saying we're so much better off lineup-wise this year than we were last year or the year before. Insane depth, definitely a better team than last year's opening day. 100% agree. 100% agree. And like I said, Maurice said they're in better shape. If you didn't watch what Maurice said, he talked about, because it was after practice yesterday, and what he said was, I don't know, 15 minutes or a half hour into the practice, the guys were doing so much better than they were last year and the year before. He said you start to wonder if it's hard enough. So these guys have just stepped up their conditioning rather than saying, all right, we won the cup. I'll get the training I'll get the training. I'll be okay. They all came into camp in better shape than they were at the beginning of last year. So, and yeah, a couple people commenting here about the Boquist brothers, right? I mean, it's depth for it really is depth for miles, right? The forward group is deep, and if I say this, but if Samoskevich if he can give us, you guys are going to slap me upside the head, but I can't help myself. I got to get my first mention in. If he can give us what Owen Tippett was developing into, if he can give us that, I know he's a different player. But if he could give us that, right, and slot in there next to Lundell and Luosterainen and put us in a position where we don't have to look at the trade deadline for offense, we're going to be in really good shape. There you go. Hey, the thing on Tippett, I'm going to call this now. I'm making it up as I go. But at some point, Tippett will be the Dmitry Kulikov of the Panthers, where late on in his career, he's going to come back home and win a cup. You watch it happen. Meadow says Ekblad for Tippett. Jeez. I wish. Well, where would he play? Don't get me started. Who started the Owen Tippett conversation? That was you, Jaws. Oh, which, by the way, I finally today managed to buy. I know a couple of you said I need a Stanley Cup final hat. I bought a couple of them today, so Kyle and I will have one. So Fanatics, actually, if you haven't bought your stuff, Fanatics is having a 25% off sale So actually, but the hats, I think it was 50%. I got the 2 hats for $38. And they're the same ones that you see everybody else selling for 25, $30. So they're having a sale right now. So on the off chance you haven't got your Stanley Cup champs hat yet, I would head on over there because I guess that's like 50% off. Yeah, because the original bill was there were 36 and they gave me 2 of them for 38 with the taxes. So there's your tip for the day. Oh yeah, that's the other guy. Thank you for mentioning him, Vincent. I remembered about him. I forgot his name. He's saying, speaking of D, this Horvoka, is it Horvoka? Yeah, guy is huge. What is it, 6'6", right? Yeah, so that's another guy that that could, he's not gonna, he won't really challenge for a roster spot this year, but coming up, into the future time there. When was the last time? When was the last time we drafted? Is that a guy we drafted, Vincent, or did we pick him up off of somewhere else? Uyghur's the last defenseman that we drafted and played for us, right? I mean, like developed and played. I think Uyghur's the last one. Forsling, no. Mikula, no. Montour, no. OEL, no. Well, Kulikov, but that's cheating. That's cheating. I think Uyghur's the last guy that we drafted, developed, and came up and played for us. And that was Dale Talon's pick, like 6th or 7th round pick. So I would love to see one of our defensemen that I don't know if we drafted this kid, but I would love to see somebody that we developed at the AHL level actually take the steps, take the process, make the team play well, and then don't trade them like you traded Owen Tippett. See, you got me going again. I can bring any topic you bring up, I can bring it back to Owen Tippett or the Puppets one way or another. It's a skill. Select says they could have done much better with the hats. They did the Panthers dirty. I couldn't find any designs that knocked my socks off. I will agree with you 100% there. Which, by the way, speaking of designs, if you guys are interested, there's links in the descriptions. Well, you can find it on the YouTube merchandise shelves. The new logo with Fluffy with his cup in the mouth, his cup in his mouth, the cup in his mouth. There's merch with that logo on there. I think we got some shirts. I don't have hats yet. I'm working on that, but there's definitely some shirts and hoodies and stuff with that new logo on it, with Fluffy having the Stanley Cup in his mouth. So there's that. Michael wants to know how Knight's doing. He better be doing good. That's all we got to say. He's the dude. He needs to be what Alex Lyon was. He needs to be what Stolarz was. He needs to be what Drieger was back in the day. He needs to be good to go. Vincent says, yes, and he's a right-hand shooter. Oh, I like that. Very good. Very good. Right? So it was just 4 forwards, 1 D all game. Yeah, no, Okposo's old for some of you, but for me, he's young. What's he, 36, 37? That's young. I'll go back to 36, 37 all day long. I wouldn't have to shift around so much in this chair because my knee wouldn't hurt sitting here. My knees and hips wouldn't hurt sitting in one position. Hey, but at least we finally got a new chair. I can swivel now, right? I don't have that one stationary chair that just, so Kyle and I, that was the one thing that we spent our allowance on new chairs this year. That's what we did. Because Karen took all the good ones when she left, but that's a different story. Metal says Knight may be the secret weapon. He'll get a lot of games because of all of our back-to-backs and the thing in Finland too, right? When is that? Is that February, March that they're going, or is it January? I know we got the whole thing where we're going to Finland and all of that. I know the players like it and it's exciting and all of that. I do worry about, the extra travel and all of that coming off of 2 long runs, obviously, but Maurice says these guys came into camp in tip-top shape, so it's like there's nothing to worry about anymore, right? It's like, who did the Panthers bring in? Whoever it is, Zito scored, right? Zito did well. And same thing with the schedule, or if somebody gets injured, we've got depth for miles. It's like, if I paid you $1,000 to come up with 5 legitimate concerns with this team, I don't think you could do it. I don't even think I could do it. I'd have to make things up. I would seriously have to make things up if I can find 5. I don't even got 3, right? I think the thing that we've talked about, the biggest question to me is, and this shouldn't be much of a question, but to me, the biggest question is Spencer Knight going to rebound to the form he was before the assistant program? That's the only real question in my mind that would have a real effect on the season if the answer was no. Like we survived. Remember the previous years when a couple of the guys we brought in, remember Balsers, right? He didn't really work out. There was a couple of other guys that we brought in and didn't work out. We survived, right? But we need Spencer Knight to be Spencer Knight. That's not optional. You don't want to have to be looking on at possible trades or something in the middle of the season because Spencer Knight's not doing it. And I know we got Drieger, but I don't know how much I trust him because of the injuries and all of that. So that to me would really be the only biggest question, right? Adonis wants to know what my reactions to the Claude Giroux and Ben Sherratt trades were when they happened and how do I feel 2 years later. See, now he's going to give me – I just want all of you to understand it's not my fault. He asked about the Owen Tippett trade. The Ben Sherratt deal, I'm not going to sit here and say I was yelling and screaming, but that was a bunch to give up for Sherratt, to give up a first. And then the Giroux trade – Owen Tippett. I just don't get me started. I wasn't jumping up and down screaming about hating it at the time. In hindsight, the Sherratt trade was an absolute dog. And the Giroux trade for Tippett and a first, I'm sure Philly's feeling pretty good about that. I think Philly is feeling pretty good about that trade, and I don't like to talk about it. Oh, hey, Trey. Trey's here. Thank you, Trey. Oh, Vincent, thank you. The Finland journey is in November. Okay. So that's early on in the season. All right. So we won't be that's a little bit better than okay. Let's see. Sybil says, hey, Jaws, number 1, the expectations are much larger than the year before. Number 2, backup goalie. Number 3, will Maurice be willing to play the rookies much? Number 4, will our new D-core flesh together? Number 5, Tkachuk rebound. Did I say questions or did I say worries? Let's see. The expectations are much higher than any year before. Okay, I'll grant you that one. Backup goalie, 100%. Will Maurice be willing to play the rookies much? I think Samoskevich is going to be it. I would be shocked if both Samoskevich and Sordiff make the roster because I think you've got a lot of competition there on the fourth line, and there's really nowhere else for Sordiff to go unless somebody gets hurt. I really don't think you play 2 in a row, 2 rookies at the same time. Will the new D-core flesh together? I believe so. I believe there's so many combinations of guys. How can it not? Right? I believe so. And what was the last one? Hold on a second. The Tkachuk rebound. Yeah, I feel good about that. He said what Chucky said in his interview was exactly what I said at the beginning of last summer, which was last summer I said, he didn't really get to train. He just had to rehab. And this year, Chucky literally said, I got to train. I didn't have to rehab. So I think you don't want to get ahead of yourselves, right? You don't want to be too I I'm already saying you said 5 legitimate worries. You try my best. I think we're in good shape. Right? I lost my train of thought with Kachuk. So there's that. We'll move on. Donna says, the real question is what I've let me blow it up again. I'm not going to sit here and squint at the screen with my glasses. It's not happening. Donna says the real question is what is Maurice going to do after this year? It's the last year of his coaching contract, so either he could extend or walk somewhere else. Well, now that's not anything I had heard. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but in all of the talking about the players, left out Maurice. I don't like that. He seems like the kind of guy that would win the cup the second time and then walk away. I don't like that prospect. Oh, so yeah, Don's saying they signed him for 3 years. I had not thought about that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But remember, he kind of figured he was he thought he was retired when we called him up originally, right? He was just kind of leaning into, all right, I guess I might be done here. I had not thought about that at all. I don't like thinking about that. The last thing I want to think about is him leaving, because that would be a massive void, right? You certainly don't want to do anything where if he leaves, you just hire whoever the assistant is. You just say, here, remember when we got Brunette? Remember when Quenville was gone and we put Brunette into the job, and basically what we told Brunette was just don't screw this up. Do nothing. Don't change anything. Don't say anything. Just shut up and let the players play. Right? That's kind of basically what we told him until we got to the playoffs. And we said, okay, now you can change the power play. And then, of course, he didn't. But that's what I would think. I would think that if Maurice wants to ride off into the sunset with the second cup, first, we tell him no, ride off with 3. But if he's going to ride off with 2, you just tell him, whoever gets the job, you just basically tell him, look, just not allowed to make any changes. You're just not allowed to make any changes. I hadn't thought about that. Now, there's the genuine concern. Now, that's a genuine concern. That's real life. Why haven't we extended him? I would assume that if he had wanted an extension, he would have gotten one. That makes me even more concerned. Hey, Craig says, horny for coach. There it is. Craig's got the right idea. Yeah, that's not even a, I don't know if you were joking or serious, but either way, that's it. You're right. You're absolutely right. 100%. Would they do that? Would they consider him having had enough experience? Why not? Why not, right? Yeah, I like that. Good call, Craig. Good call. Trey says a 3-year deal is standard. It doesn't mean he's leaving. No, I'm not saying it means he's leaving. I'm just saying that, like, they just randomly gave Bill Zito an extension out of nowhere, right? So the thing, when I say it's kind of scares me is, like, Maurice strikes me as the kind of guy to take a week off during the summer, have an apple hit him in the head, and take that as a sign that I should enjoy nature more and leave my job because this apple hit me in the head and it left me with the lump, and it made me realize how much I want to spend time with my family and nature under apple trees. He strikes me as the kind of guy that would just like, okay, I think I'm done. I don't think there'll be any warning. I think that's what I realized when he asked that question, is like, he kind of strikes me as the guy that whenever he does walk away, like when he left Winnipeg, okay, he just up and said, I think I'm done. See ya. Toodaloo. Bye. That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Vincent says they're cooking and having fun. Everybody gets extended, right? I know. It's a beautiful thing. Even the arena got an extension. Even the arena got an extension. I keep waiting for my contract. Nothing comes. No emails. I got nothing. There's nothing. I don't understand. I'm confused, right? Trey says, this ain't Winnipeg. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, Craig, you're right about Hornquist. The players love him and would run through a wall for the guy. Yeah, that's perfect. It makes me less worried about it. Maybe the sign that Maurice is going to think about leaving, maybe the sign will be when the press release comes out that Hornquist is moving behind the bench as one of the assistants. Maybe that can be the time we can say, oh, okay, Maurice might be considering it, right? That might make some sense. Hey, holy crap, what's that? Now I got to put my glasses on because I can't read it without my glasses. Y'all can just enjoy it. Hey, Ninja, thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Outstanding. Much appreciated. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, you could be a lady ninja, right? There's plenty of those around. If you have a lady ninja friend, send her to my house. She can whip my son into shape. And yeah, different subject. We're getting off topic now. What's Trey saying? Because I can't read it. Trey says depends on how much cap goes up, but probably not. Oh, you're talking about Metal wants to know, would you be able to sign both Swaggy and Bennett? Yeah. But you can't sign Swaggy, Bennett, and Lundell. Excuse me, on Lundell. Because somebody said, Trey said Lundell. You can't sign Swaggy, Bennett, and Ekblad. You can't have all three. But the other two, sure. There should be enough room there to do that. I would think that there would be enough room there to do that. Well, I mean, if Ekblad's contract is gone, there's plenty of room. I mean, there's Bennett's salary right there, right? For the most part. And it also depends, we talked about it yesterday. It also depends on how these guys perform during their contract year, which is a benefit to us, right? That they're in a contract year. We saw that with Reinhart. But, you know, if Reinhart went from scoring about 30 to 57, what the hell is Verhaeghe going to do? He's going to have 70 goals, right? You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I do believe that we can get both of those guys signed. And then, let's see, what's Trey saying here? He says, no, I was saying if you had to make a choice between Swaggy and Bennett, you would take Swaggy because Lundell can replace Bennett. Nobody can replace Swaggy. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I agree there. I don't want that to happen though, right? No, Bob's deal is one more, Trey. So this is the last year of Ekblad's deal, and then Bob's deal has one more. So that's where we're up against it a little bit. That's why we can't have everybody. Yeah, exactly. 70 goals, Swaggy, 500 for every goal. I'm telling you, it worked to our advantage last year with Reinhart. And then you could have Verhaeghe and Bennett on, in contract years. And just hopefully we'll see what happens with Ekblad. I just don't know. That is the one unknown. Like, I like to prognosticate and give predictions and think I might have an idea what's going to happen. But in terms of Ekblad, just hands are up against the wall. Anything and everything could happen there. And that's that. Adonis says, what about Ekblad to Detroit for Sherrod? Right? So Metal says, now watch Swaggy get 60 goals and we have to pay him $9 million. Yeah, the money will be there. I mean, depending on what we do with Ekblad. I was kind of hoping we would have saw, and we might still see extensions. You never know when those extensions come through. I think the one extension you probably won't see till after the end of the season is Bennett. I love the dude, right? But the style he plays, the physicality he plays, his injury history. You kind of want to take it year by year with him a little bit. I'm not saying he's not worth the deal, but 8 more years for Hagee is going to be a lot more consistent. There's a lot more of an opportunity for Verhaeghe to play well for another 6 to 8 years than Bennett. Bennett's just a different kind of player. He's been banged around a lot, and if he struggles this year for some reason with injuries or something like that, that could be the writing on the wall there. But who knows? Lundell and Bennett. Yeah, Lundell is Bennett Insurance, but it's a different. It's a kind of a different vibe. Obviously 2 very, very different players. So we'll see. Yeah, Trey says, unfortunately, my dreams of trading Ekblad for Gudas aren't going to happen. He's the captain now. Right. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today. Thank you all for joining me. I was going to say us, but Kyle isn't here. Remember, this podcast, we'll talk about it. We're going to have a discussion amongst the members. If you guys want the podcast to remain exclusive for members, or if you want it to be public like we did here today. I don't know if you guys are having trouble finding it, but when I'm doing it for the members, like 2 or 3 people are showing up. But then we did it public today. All of you showed up, but most of you are members anyway. So I don't know if you're just not able to find the stream, or if you're just flipping me the bird and want it to be public. You guys tell me. We'll figure that out. All right, everybody. I'm going to go do the eBay pack and ship. Matthias is going to be here later. And for those of you who watch the football channel, we'll see you on Sunday to watch the Dolphins get absolutely obliterated by the Seahawks.